South. And today I have with me Tiffany Gonzalez. She is the founder and CEO of an accounting company called Accounting to Scale. Tiffany, welcome. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here.
Yay, we're excited to have you on here, and it's very great timing, right? Because we're in tax season, so we need to talk all about accounting. But before we get into accounting, we're going to talk about you. So I want to learn about your personal and professional journey, kind of like, where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? What did you do before you did accounting? Or if you just went right into it. Yeah. And I always tell my guests, throw in a fun fact.
Sounds good to me. So my dad actually came to this country on a raft from Cuba. Yes, when he was 19 years old.
Oh my gosh.
All by himself. And so I was born here, and I am a Miami girl through and through. I went to the University of Miami for my undergrad.
Okay.
Did accounting, and then my master's in tax at FIU. They have an amazing master's in taxation program. And then I sat for my CPA license. And so I love Miami. I leave for a few weeks to go on vacation, but I always miss home.
What part of Miami are you in?
Right now I am in Brickell.
Okay, so is that where the office is as well too?
No, so the office is actually in Westchester.
How?
I know.
It's usually the opposite. Like usually you live in Westchester and you work in Brickell. Like,
first it's attracting talent, right? And now we have a lot more talent that's spread out after COVID. But initially, when I had talent locally, no one wants to drive to downtown.
It's tough.
The traffic is really hard. The parking is tough. So, and we really wanted to purchase a home, like for a business. And so we actually have a physical space. It's a standalone building. The parking is great. We have a blue roof, so you can't miss us from Coral Way. But yeah, I love it. We've brought in local artists, and they've designed. We've used chalk and brush. We used Jesse Knight.
Oh my gosh!
And they've
fun.
like painted it, and it's really nice. It's really comfortable and warm and fun.
That's so different when you think of accounting, right?
True, right?
And like, I'm just gonna be honest, and we're gonna dispel this myth later. But you think accounting, and it's not necessarily always the most fun thing. You don't think, like murals and paintings and blue roofs and those sorts of things, but we're gonna dispel that. We're gonna dispel some of those myths. Okay, so you live in Brickell and you have a family.
Yeah.
And you have a family in Brickell.
I do.
That's great.
I have two little ones. One's 3, boy, and my little girl Viva. She's 1, and it's so fun being a parent and a business owner. You know, you are at work, you have one hat, and then you take off that hat and you go home and you have a completely different hat because you don't want to talk to your kids like you talk to your employees.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun.
That is great, and that's so impressive too. You know, I love when I see like, especially leaders in our community that are thriving, that are successful. You know, business owners, and you go beyond that with your community involvement. And you know, I tip my hat to you because we do a lot of that in sort of like our field and our work. But I admire and I respect so much those that have the second job at home with the kids and the family and that all of that comes with it. So that's incredible.
The way it works is having support, like I have a supportive husband, I have a supportive team at the office. Like at the end of the day, it's like you said, we're a community, and that's really how you can accomplish anything.
Right.
Fun fact.
Yes, I was going to say, don't forget the fun fact.
Fun fact. So I love wine.
Okay.
Drinking it, learning about it, and I've actually been to all the major regions, so Napa, Tuscany, Bordeaux, and Rioja.
Okay.
And this year, I'm going to go to Burgundy and Champagne.
Okay.
I know.
So, like, do you have a favorite
wine?
Like, are you going to give us some tips here? Like, are you going to drop a gem?
A gem. So there's a secondary wine of Sassicaia, which right now, of course, the name is escaping me. Guidalberto. It's called Guidalberto.
Okay.
And yeah. I love that wine. It's an Italian wine.
Okay, it's an Italian wine. Okay, perfect. Well, we'll have to look that up, and we'll have to get more information about that. But I would love to join you on this like wine journey whenever you want, because we love that. Okay, so when you talked about your journey earlier, you said that you did accounting at UM.
Yes.
And then you did your master's in tax something at FIU.
Yes.
But what did you want to be when you were younger? Like a little girl? I don't know if any little girl was like, I want to be an accountant, because I was like, I want to be a princess. So what did you want to be when you were younger? And how do you think that shaped what you do today?
So my aunt had a really big influence on me. My cousins lived a different lifestyle than me and my sisters did. And I always wondered, like, what did my aunt do? I just want to do whatever she does because I like how my cousins live and everything they have. And my aunt was an accountant.
Oh, okay. And you were thinking this when you were like little?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And so and then I thought about the fact that, if you want to be really good at something, you have to study it. You have to know more about it. So what do you want to be really good at? I want to know money. I want to know about money. How do you manage money? How do you grow money? How do you, like, what does it mean? So accounting is the perfect profession, right? You're counting it, you're projecting it, you're budgeting it. So
were you always like naturally good with numbers and math when you were younger?
Yes, and I love puzzles. More than anything, I love puzzles, and accounting is solving puzzles, figuring out, making it balance, making it work.
There is nothing more satisfying than that feeling of like when you're, because I mean, I do, well, I'm not an accountant, but I do, you know, obviously with Chamber South, being the president and CEO, you have to like run the books and like, you know, look at the budgets and look at spreadsheets and look at numbers and stuff like that. And there are times, especially when I'm doing my budget or whatever, just looking at things. And when you figure out that puzzle where you're like, I don't know, this is not making sense.
Yes.
And the good thing about math is that it will always make sense. Yes. Like it is so structured, right? It has to make sense. And so when something's not in balance or when something's just not working, there's no greater feeling than solving the mystery of like
the aha moment.
Oh, that's where it is. Like that's where that credit or that debit came from, or like, yay, we're back in zero, or whatever the case may be. So I get that, and that's a lot of fun. That's great. So we love numbers, Miami girl through and through. But when you look at whether it's personal or professional, either or, what are you most passionate about?
When it comes to passion, it's really education, right? Like I've loved school. I mean, I love to read, and so I like to teach other people. And accounting is so complex, and there's so jargon, and everyone gets so anxious about money. And so, you know, we started this YouTube channel during COVID, right? Everything shut down, can't go anywhere. So we got a camera, and I just started talking in front of the camera, just like this.
Okay, all right. So you're a pro. She knows what she's doing, guys.
And we're at over 1,000 subscribers now.
Wow.
Yeah, and we do less than 5 minutes. On Mondays, we do a Monday Minute, and we just talk about a topic. And my favorite series is What Is That? Where we discuss financial key term and topics you may have heard, but we make them super easy to understand.
Okay.
And
so give me an example.
An example. What is a P&L? Okay. P&L. What is that? And so we talk about a profit and loss statement, how to read it, how to formulate one, anything like that. I mean, I love education and teaching people, and I think that's one of the differentiators and why I have great clients. They tell me, like, you're so thorough. You go line by line on the tax return, and you really help me understand. It's not just giving me financials. You're helping me understand what I'm even looking at. So
that's incredible.
I love education.
That's so awesome. That's so great. Yes, and education is really important. And I think, you know, because again, just to kind of using Chamber South as an example, you know, we have our board of directors, we present financial statements, and you know, your board of directors is going to be a comprised of a number of people, and
different backgrounds.
The majority of them are probably not accountants, probably never seen a P&L, probably never seen a balance sheet, probably never seen any of those things. So really understanding what it is that you're looking at so you can make smart, informed choices on really anything in life, whether it's accounting or anything.
Exactly.
Understanding what you're looking at so that you can make an informed decision, I think, is really important. And the fact that you've gone above and beyond with that on your own personal time, on your, you know, to educate just the public, not just your clients, not just a subset group. You're putting it out there on YouTube for the public consumption. That's incredible. That's amazing.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Tiffany.
Yeah, such a pleasure.
Okay, so let's talk about accounting for scale. I know this is like I know you founded and started it, and then your husband joined you on that journey. So we can talk a little bit about that. But I heard that he came up with the name Accounting for Scale. So let's talk about the name and where that came from.
So while I started it in the living room, he's always been...
In the living room?
Yes. He's always been involved. He's always been involved, helping me, supporting me, encouraging me. And one of the things was the name, right? You start off in a firm with your name. Most accounting firms are last names, right? And my name was changing. We were getting married, and I was having this crisis. What do I change the name of the business? And so we started just playing with words: accounting, scale, balance, growth. And he just one day in the kitchen was like, accounting to scale. I was like, pretty good. I think that's it. That's pretty good. And so we just started to create a logo with the scales, and we've trademarked it, everybody. So
you can't take it. You can't get it. And correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just hallucinating, which is even worse. But your email signature with your logo, is it animated?
It moves.
And I saw it, and I was like, Brittnie, maybe you need to just go to sleep at this point. But like your logo and your signature moves. It's so cute. But it's little touches like that that are like, oh, that's so neat, and that's that's brand recognition, that's marketing, that's all of those things. Which I think Danny
is Danny's side of the business, right?
Which is why Danny made you come on the show today. Okay,
yes.
good.
I am more of the technical one. I love the numbers, and he's way more creative. And in 2019, after having the business for about, I think it was 4 or 5 years, we're now at 8 or 9 now. I was pregnant with my first child, and it was just a lot. We were moving into the new office. It was under renovation, adding employees, adding clients. And I was like, you have to help me more. I need, like, I can't take these sales calls, and I'm not being my best at any given thing. I'm spread too thin. And so he took big leap of faith, leaving his sales job where he was making 6 figures to come start at 0 with me. And yeah, I mean, the best decision we've ever made for the business and for our family. It's been amazing.
That's incredible. That's incredible when you can have that kind of support. And that's important. And really that balance, right? And you're talking about scale and growth and balance, but that balance between like your work life and your personal life, and you've been able to balance it and you've been able to integrate it. And that's incredible because it really is now a joint venture between you and your husband, and it's for your whole family.
Exactly.
So that's incredible. And Danny, yes, we love the moving logo. Thank you for that. It gives me joy every time I see an email from you guys. So let's talk about your team at Accounting for Scale. How many employees do you have?
So we have 12. Including me right now.
Okay.
And we have accounting clerks, accounting specialists, managers, an accounting manager, a tax manager. One of the nice things about having a team is the tenure, right? Once you get tenure and you have employees that have been there for a while and know what they're doing and they're proud to work with you, it really changes the business. And so I'm really proud of the employees that we have at Accounting to Scale because they really care about the clients. They care about working with each other. They have each other's backs. When we had an upcoming deadline, January 31st for 1099s, and it was like, okay, did you finish this one? What about this one? Okay, I got this one. Don't worry. And it's just such a nice vibe to feel like supported. I remember one time one of the employees said in a team meeting that she like enjoys waking up in the morning and going to work. And
there's no greater compliment.
Yeah.
There's no greater compliment. When you have someone that wants to go to work and wants to be there, then you know that you're doing something right as a leader.
And I might add, we've actually recently added a really big benefit. So we do a company retreat, and we did our first one last year. We all went to Costa Rica.
Whoa. Okay, usually the company retreats are like Orlando. If you're being fancy.
What? Stayed in a fancy house. We went on ATVs. The catamaran got canceled, but we did a zip line. We did zip line. Yes.
I'll just work for you during the company retreat portion of the year.
You can come hype us up during the retreat.
Like, you guys got this. You're doing great.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's so fun.
And those sorts of things, those auxiliary, almost non-tangible benefits, culture, like the workplace that's created, those are so much more important, I think, moving forward. That's what employees are looking for.
Definitely.
You know, and being able to feel like they have that with their company is incredibly important. So kudos to you for recognizing that and incorporating it, because that's kind of what's going to keep you ahead of the game with other organizations.
Right.
And help retain talent, which is, of course, the biggest struggle right now in today's world is workforce challenges and retaining talent, recruiting the right talent and retaining the talent.
For sure.
And I think that's going to go a long way. So we just jumped ahead because I was like, tell me about your team, because you were talking about Danny and we're talking about how he integrated into the firm and it was like a family thing, and I was like, tell me about the rest of your firm family. But let's go back a little bit and tell me about Accounting for Scale. I mean, it's an accounting firm, so we don't really need to explain to the public what an accounting firm is. But sort of, who do you serve? What does your clientele look like? And just delve into that a little bit.
On the accounting side, we do the bookkeeping and the controllership for small businesses. And typically, you know, this could be a family business. This could be a foreigner who's come to Miami to start a business. We work with a lot of multi-location businesses. So maybe a barbershop that has several locations, or maybe a fast casual restaurant. We, you know, what's the word I'm looking here? We strive to give them financials that they can use to make decisions.
Right. And then we talked about that with education, right?
Yes. Because if you know what your numbers are, then you can make important decisions. Can I hire somebody else? You know, do I need a pause on hiring? Can I give myself a raise? So those are all of the important things that we answer. And then we help with the day-to-day. We process payroll, accounts payable, sending invoices. There are clients that without us, they wouldn't be able to get the invoice out. If you don't get the invoice out, you're not getting paid.
No.
So we support them in that function, and we act as an extension of their team so that they don't feel like they're using a remote random person, like we are on your team. We're the accounting to scale team. We're going to help you scale your business.
And that's for the small businesses.
Right. And then for individuals, we do tax preparation.
Okay, good.
We're trying to reduce.
You need someone to do your taxes, guys.
Tax strategy, right? We talk 401k, HSA, and that's really where the YouTube channels also come into play. Those benefit a lot the individuals that we help, because there's a lot of personal finance education in those videos. But yes, we work with both alike, and ultimately business owners are individuals as well.
Exactly. That's what I always say. I'm like, yes, you're a business owner. Yes, you're a leader in the community. Yes, you're all of these things. But at the end of the day, like, you're a resident, you're a citizen, and you're going to have these personal needs as well. And so it's good sometimes when you find both, when you find someone that can handle the needs of your business, but also handle the needs of your own personal finances.
Exactly.
So that's really, really, really incredible. What is your favorite thing about being the CEO of an accounting firm, or like having your own business, or maybe what's even your favorite part of your job? Or the favorite, I know we talked about solving puzzles and that sort of thing. What's your favorite part of really like owning your own business?
My favorite part is like the mentorship, right? You know, at one point I was a young female accountant, learning from other older accountants. And so my favorite part now is that, you know, some of the staff that works for me doesn't necessarily see me as like their boss. I am, right? I sign the paycheck.
Yes.
You know, but it's more like from a education perspective, right? Like, hey, I ran into this new technical problem I've never seen before. Like, how do I handle this? And being able to mentor them on that aspect, and then also being able to mentor them on how to deal with clients, right? How to have the customer service, the tact, how to deliver tough news and information like a tax bill, you know? So that mentorship part, I really do enjoy. So I don't like working from home. I go to the office every day. I'm there, you know, the same time as my employees. I don't really come late or leave early. Like I like to be involved.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, and I can tell that like a passion for just education and helping people is something that you have, and that's really important, because you are a young CEO, and you're like helping grow like the next generation too. So
exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about your community involvement, because I know we're talking a lot about like accounting, but you and Danny are both very much involved in the community, and I think that's really important when you have businesses that are based here locally, or a local Miami girl, but then you give back to the community, like you invest back into it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
We're super involved in the United Way. So Danny is the co-chair of the Small Business United, which is a subset of the United Way. And, you know, donations is one, but also participating in events, helping other business owners come to these events, because there's also a networking aspect to it. And then ultimately, what are you doing at the event? So we've packed backpacks before, served meals, given away turkeys, you know. So I love that aspect, because you achieve this level of success in order to be able to give back. You know, when I was younger, I always thought to myself, like, how do people donate? Like, I don't have anything to donate or give. And I've seen that, like, as you become more and more successful, there's so much intrinsic benefit to just giving back and spending time. And it doesn't even have to be financial.
Yeah.
Now I realize that, you know, that when I was younger, I thought it was always financial, but it's
sometimes it might even be easier if you're able to write the check. But really, when you're doing both, when you're investing your money and you're writing that check, but you're also investing your time and you're hands-on, that's so important. And I think, and you're right, it should not, like, giving back to the community, being philanthropic comes in so many different ways, shapes, and forms, and you should never feel limited that you can't do that.
Right.
Because there's always going to be an avenue for do that. If you can't afford to give of money, you can give of time, you can give of talent.
Right.
You can, do pro bono work.
Yeah.
You can just volunteer and pack backpacks. You don't need to have any special skills to, do those sorts of things, but it makes a huge difference when we all come together as a community to do some of that stuff.
And we involve our employees in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we let them know what events are coming up, who wants to participate. If there's a registration fee, we cover it, because we want to give them the opportunity to experience
You're
that.
Empowering them.
For sure.
You're empowering them to be able to do that, and that's incredibly important too. So we've talked about a lot here.
I know.
You own your own company, you've got like a thriving business, you've got a beautiful family, you have all of these things in your life at a very young age. This is going to be a really interesting question. When you think of all of that, what are you the most proud of?
The most proud of? Oh my goodness. I have a lot to be proud of, for sure. But I would say that it goes back to, my employees. I'm really proud of my team and my staff. You have to have a lot of trust and faith in me, especially the early ones, right? When I'm going from my living room to working in a shared office space and you're my first hire, you're like, is she going to pay me on time? this is a young girl, you know. And then after you have your first few believers, so to get to 12, it's been a struggle, you know. And so from, you know, I'm proud of those early believers because they brought the next wave, and I'm excited to see where we go from here, you know. So I have a staff person right now who just finished graduating with her master's, and she's going to study for the CPA. So I'm like really excited because when she passes, this will be my first homegrown CPA from accounting and scale.
How fun. What a full circle moment for you. Yes, it's incredible.
Super.
That's incredible. And I always say too, as a leader, it's important to know that, and I say this to the point of people rolling their eyes because I say it so often, but you're only as good as people that you surround yourself with, and nobody accomplishes anything alone. And so a lot of the successes that you experience, you're standing on the shoulders of everybody who supported you through that.
Standing on the shoulders. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
And it's true, and it's important. You know, you really have to share it. You know, as a leader, as a CEO, you get all of the praise, you get all of the blame too when things don't go right. So you get both sides of it. And when you get the blame, you accept the blame. That's your responsibility. That's your role as a leader. When you get the praise, you share it. You share it with the team. You share it with the people that helped you get that praise. So that's really important, I think, and that you've recognized that, and that you've empowered your team, and you reward them for that with trips to Costa Rica. You're an accountant looking to make a switch, accounting for scale. We'll take you to Costa Rica.
It's so funny.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to wrap up. This has been a great conversation.
It's so fun.
So we always tell our guests, last question. What's the best? So it's twofold. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received? And what advice would you like to leave our audience with?
Okay. So remember earlier you were like, we're going to dispel this.
Oh, we didn't dispel any myths.
Well, listen, I got it for you. So the best piece of advice I've ever received is that I should not be an accountant. And this was from a career counselor at the University of Miami. But she basically told me that I have too much personality and I'm not going to enjoy it. And this is how I felt. It's exactly like this. So like a loss for words. But I think it's because, right, we try to put these professions into boxes. And we think of accountants and we say, oh, they're bean counters and they sit behind a computer and they love spreadsheets and they don't like people. And the truth is that asset that she said would make it the worst for me it's actually been the best, because I can connect with people on an emotional level and explain numbers, which are very emotional to people, that come from a spreadsheet. So that's actually my best advice. That's the advice I received. Not to be an accountant. No, I should.
That's so interesting because we recently had another accountant on the show, and he said the same thing. Yeah. He was. I remember laughing. Like, he just said one word, and I just started laughing, and I'm like, I'm gonna let you finish. But he was like, you know, it was so when I first became an accountant, and boxing was like on the rise. I'm like, this is not going to make any sense. But apparently one of the boxers was like this like nerdy, like scrawny looking guy. And someone was like, oh, that looks like my accountant. And he was like, we need to dispel the myths that like accountants are like nerdy and like, you know, they sit by, like they're bean counters and they sit behind desks and they don't have any personality and they're, you know, they're not able to make those connections. And that's so important. And it is your biggest asset. It is in developing the relationships with your client and promoting your business and being able to get on a YouTube channel with 1,000 subscribers and say, all right, guys, what's a P&L? Let's go. We're going to talk about it. Right. Yes. And so that's what's going to make you the most successful in your career. So it's absolutely right. It's incredible.
And my advice to the audience would be to bet on yourself, because when you do, the odds are always in your favor. Favorite advice. Have the courage to bet on yourself.
That's very powerful. That's very powerful. And I think that we need to hear that more often. We were talking about this before the show, not to give away too many things, but we were always saying how you're your own worst critic, right? And so that is a direct response to that previous conversation, is don't be your own worst critic. Bet on yourself, because the odds are always going to be in your favor when you bet on yourself. That's incredible. And I don't think there's any better way to close this show. So thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Brittnie.
We'll continue to bet on ourselves. Thank you guys for watching with us. This has been Live with Brittnie in partnership with our friends here at Miami Community Newspapers. These shows are filmed every Friday morning right here at the studio. So if you want to be on the show, reach out to us at Chamber South. You can reach us at info@chambersouth or call us 305-661-1621. We'll see you next